Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Train, and as an intuitive guide, energy healer, and meditation teacher, I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things energy and intuition. Everything I share is with the hope to help you remember how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello and welcome. Welcome to your June Energy Impressions, June 2026. We are in the halfway point, entering into the halfway point of the year. And what a year it has been. And I want to dive right in to the energy impressions because the meditation was very different than it has been over the past few weeks. We are in a different space. We are in a new rhythm. And yes, let's get into it. So, if you are new to the energy impressions or the energy updates, welcome. And welcome back to everyone who has been with me before. Here we are in June. Thank you for coming back and thank you for being here, everyone. I love connecting with you. Many of you connected with me last week. And yes, I hope that anytime you feel called to reach out and share something about how you are receiving the energy impressions, what's resonating, reach out. I love connecting with you, and it really helps me feel like I'm not, just shouting into the void, which is fine too. But it's always nice to know that someone's listening. Even though I see it in the downloads, it is really nice to actually hear from you. So never hesitate, reach out. All the links are in the show notes to connect. And another reminder, when you're listening to these energy impressions, because I go into a really nice meditation with the intention to receive insight, guidance, messages, symbolism, anything that I can translate with as much clarity as possible for us, because it's for you and I. It's for all of us. And of course, I do try my best to translate it, but you know what's best for you. You are your best intuitive. So if it translates, if it resonates, if it feels like a message for you, trust that. But also trust when it doesn't. Use these energy impressions as a way to continue to develop the trust in your intuition, to develop your own intuitive senses. I go in and receive with all of my inner senses, and you can receive it with yours. So really trust what resonates, trust what doesn't. But I do feel like these overall monthly ones are great to revisit. I like to revisit them in the middle of the month and then at the end as well. When I revisited the May and the theme of May was surrender, I was like, wow, was that not the truth? Was that not so true to so many things that happened for me personally? And the reflection can be really helpful. So, for the June energy impressions, I'll share what came through in the meditation, and then I'm going to share the animals, plural, because there's one that came through that felt like it was for the first week, and then the main one that was for the first week as well, but more for overall the month ahead. And then I will share some writing prompts to help you dive even deeper into the energy. And those you can use as journal prompts, one or all. But I do find that they help to kind of anchor into which aspect of the energy impressions we personally need to look at, depending on what question and answer really speak to you. And now let's finally get into the June 2026 energy impressions. So when I first opened up the meditation, so the person in the meditation that represent you and I, we are buzzing. Our bodies are like buzzing with energy. I was shown a very like super visceral feeling of activity. that we are going to be feeling our energy in a very different way this month. And that means, from the way it was feeling, that our relationship to our bodies is going to change as well. That the energy felt like a connecting action, like a reconnection to the very powerful energy that flows through us, through our meridians, our nervous system, our channel. It could feel almost overwhelming at times because it was so visceral, this like activity, this electricity. So, movement in June feels very important. Dancing, jumping, shaking our bodies out in the morning and at night. Exercise, yes, but movement, stretching, shaking, shimmying, dancing, like all of the ways that you naturally kind of move your body, even outside of a traditional exercise or a strength training or yoga practice, like really intuitively, I guess I could call it, intuitively moving our bodies, like allowing that energetic feeling within that feels maybe different to how you felt energy flowing through your body before, and allowing it to move you, paying attention to how our bodies are feeling different, like how differently it feels living in our bodies, and how different we're feeling about our bodies. Because the insight that was coming when I was feeling into and tuning in the meditation of like, okay, there's this activity, the pulsing, the electricity, is it this feeling? This could also be guidance that we're going to have a new experience with how we connect and feel and live with our bodies, that maybe we're not going to be compartmentalizing our bodies from ourselves. Even the way I'm speaking to it is not how it feels it's going to go, because I'm speaking to it as something separate from you. And it feels like we're going to have this kind of reclamation, reconnection to ourselves. And instead of it being, oh, I love my body or I'm thankful for my body, it feels like we might have a shift in not seeing or saying or speaking about our bodies as something separate to take care of, but as us, not just like a part of us, but inviting our bodies back into the fold, like seeing ourselves as one, that it's not like heart, mind, body, but all one moving field of energy. Sure, some parts are more physical and material, but all aspects of us are working and living and being together, and we're not speaking to one part of us as if it is completely separate, which is how sometimes we do speak about the body, even putting it as the body. What is your body saying? It's like, well, what are you saying? And your body is speaking through it, but it is still you. It feels like the reason that this was kind of coming through at the beginning of the meditation was in June, we'll have an opportunity, an invitation to intentionally bring our vision back to the whole of us rather than us in separate parts and facets. Like we really see ourselves fully, which could be very different, a very different way of perceiving who we are, all of us. And then the next thing that came through for June in the meditation is that, so we were standing there, lit up by our own energy, and then it opened up even more, and we are walking through a path. So it was kind of a grassy dirt path, but stone walls on either side of us. And the sun is very bright. Like this was a part that was so another visceral aspect, like very, very visceral, a very vivid, bright sunlight and we are shielding our eyes from the brightness. And it feels like the light is so bright that our eyes haven't seen that kind of brightness in a long time. Like our eyes are not used to that amount of light. And then our energy, that electric, active energy flowing out, and we see that the walls start to crumble around us from our inner activity and outwardly. The stone of the walls start turning to rubble, start to roll down the path, and then break apart. And we're continuing to walk even as these walls are crumbling around us. And then the stone from the walls break apart into this like glitter dust on our path that totally glisten in the sun. And the walls crumble, and the crumbling, that destruction, is creating more beauty on our path, but also more of a solid foundation. It's reinforcing it as we're walking. And that feels like any walls that feel like they're protecting us or are solid and secure, if they do start to crumble, if something does happen where they are destroyed, they will actually offer us more stability and allow us to continue to walk forward, to shine, offering us more beauty on our path. And then in the distance, kind of at the end, after all of these walls have kind of crumbled down and been destroyed, there were these big trees in the distance that were very long trunks with just the green at the top, almost like a palm tree, but not specifically. And the green of the tree right at the top were furiously moving in a very strong wind. But the trunks of the trees were solid. They were not swaying. And this felt like any big, swift movement. Maybe it's connected to why these walls are crumbling. But any big, swift movement around us this month will not shake our security, even if it feels chaotic. If we are grounded, and if we tend to our anchored, embodied energy, stay grounded, connect to your grounding practices. We need them all the time. I speak about it all the time, but we definitely need them in June from what I was shown in the meditation. Don't be scared of any chaotic wind. You are secure. Stay grounded. And then the next thing that came through in the meditation, we're walking on the path, the walls have crumbled, the path is shining, the light is shining, super bright sun. And I heard, what once was hard will soften and flow under your feet. Pretty lovely. That something that felt hard, a challenge, will finally soften and then begin to flow under our feet. That feels like momentum, helping us move. And this whole scene, when I was writing the details, I was like, wow, this whole scene reminds me of the energy of the tarot archetypes, the Tower, that major arcana card that is, so famous in the history of the energy of tarot, and the number 16 in the major arcana. And I love the archetypal energy, the story of the tarot that tells the story of life. And now, as I really tune into it, it does feel like we're being reminded of this tower energy of when everything we have built, but maybe built on an inauthentic foundation, built on our shoulds, built to confine and protect, to protect our light instead of shine it. The walls we built that offer us a false sense of security, how something big can happen, something really big can kind of offer us an awakening of sorts, an unavoidable change. And then that hits us like lightning. It hits that tower energy. And that lightning hits what we think or what we thought was true and the beliefs that we thought were totally set in stone. This big thing, this cataclysmic energy, this thing that creates a lightning strike of nothing is what you thought it was. It tears the tower down and then everything falls. But also, it makes room. It makes room for the light, which pours out of the tower. And then everything in our life is lit up. All of the bad, but also all of the great that was hidden away by false structures. And this could be because they were the walls, right? This could be the last bits of our tower moment. The walls were there and then they crumbled. And it wasn't the tall tower, but the last parts of the false foundation crumbling away, creating more of a stable path as we walked. So June does feel like a bit of a tower moment with a beautiful outcome, a sort of faded shift. Not to be dramatic, but well, it does. It does feel dramatic. A faded shift could occur in June. And then, because in the meditation, we're standing and shining and walking on a new, beautiful, gleaming path made out of the stone and the rubble, and the walls are gone, and we're still standing and thriving. This does feel like a connection to the energy of what comes next in the tower archetype. After the tower is number 17, which is the star, the energy of healing and shining and hope and renewal of faith in yourself and faith in God or the universe and the gift of wisdom after the most challenging times, new inspiration, the burst of creativity after such an impactful, life changing event. And because those numbers came in, and I was so reminded of the tarot, I wanted to offer that it might be a specific message about those numbers in June too. That June 16th and 17th, that they could be extra potent days for us. Very potent, very maybe alchemical. There is a focus. We don't usually get insights for specific days, but the way the guidance unfolded, let's mark June 16th and 17th in our calendars and see what it feels like. Maybe you're ready to do something on those days. And if we think of the words that I heard, that message of what was once hard will soften and flow under your feet, what does it make you think of? What has been the challenge, the hard times? What has felt so difficult? And then the way the words say that the hard will soften and flow under our feet, that feels like the momentum, that the softness is also movement, supporting, guiding, that fluid emotion like water, that it will replace what was feeling stuck and stagnant and way too hard. It's like a relief. June could really bring us relief and also support after the last, vestiges of the hard times and challenges. Keeping the faith through the first few weeks of June. Let what is leaving, what is crumbling, what wants to go, let it go. Let what is breaking down transmute and recycle. Maybe part of all of that energy, the electricity running through our bodies that we're really feeling in new ways, that reclamation of all parts of us. Maybe that's our trust lighting up as things in our lives rearrange for the better. What once was hard will soften and flow under your feet. And it sounds like something that we have all been working towards. That's the reward. That once it was hard and now it's going to soften and be the momentum for us and help us flow as we move. And before I share the animal for the whole month of June, I did connect to the first week of June if there were any focused insights. And I did hear shedding. So there was the word shed, ing, so more of an action. and and there was an animal at our feet. So I heard shedding, and if you can guess what the animal was, it was a snake. But it was a coral snake, like a very specific one that I can't even think of the last time I thought of or saw one, a picture of one, not in person. So it felt very specific when I tuned in. And this first week of June, this coral snake, the shedding could be kind of more of the focus, more of the theme, something to pay attention to. And it's a snake, the coral snake, if you don't know, that has a lot of patterning of these strong colors of red, yellow, and black. And I feel like these colors are significant for the first week of June, the red and the yellow first, focusing, representing perhaps our root and our solar plexus energy centers. So our first and our third, grounding, safety, security, personal power, self confidence, maybe shedding what's in the way of that. And then the black, symbolizing protection, more grounding, shadow work, the creative void. Our sacral more often represented by the orange, but the void, that dark void energy is also held in our sacral. So in the first week of June, how can you tend to your foundational energy centers? The first, second, and third. If you feel called, you can listen to my Reiki healing meditations for those centers, all of the ones that I just shared, or choose one that feels the most in need of support. I'll put those links in the show notes. But yes, shedding and then the snake. So that coral snake is also very poisonous, and it could be a warning to be cautious this week, the first week of June. Those snakes are very reclusive, they hide, but when they're disturbed or challenged, they will bite with their very intense venom. So maybe be aware of any hidden dangers, not only physically, but also, why not, just be a little extra careful, but maybe hidden words, somebody's speaking to you in an offer or a contract or anything that could be hidden. Like maybe read all of the fine print this week before taking any big step, any big choice, any big investment, even small choice, small investment. Like make sure you are looking at the details. And these could all be a focus this week in how the snake represents the shedding and the cycles of healing, of life, of transmuting pain into something that actually feeds us. So for the first week of June, we could be continuing to let go, still shedding. And this feels like, because it is connected to the base, like foundation of our central energy centers, this feels like it could be about shedding and letting go identities. Maybe those labels from last week that we were losing, we're continuing to let go and lose these outdated labels, like what we have outgrown. What have you moved past? This also feels like one of those weeks where we realize it's finally time to move on. So, what are you moving on from? And how can you help yourself to continue to let go and release what doesn't fit anymore, while still protecting yourself and setting really important boundaries for your energy? And right behind
that coral snake was the main animal for the month. And that was the main focus, even for the first week, too. It doesn't feel like that snake energy is overwhelming the week. It felt like, okay, if there is something specific for the first week, this is what we can connect to. But the main animal feels like the first weekend, the whole month. And so at the, not the end of the path, but more towards the end of the path as we were walking, the animal that was there, bright, shining in the sun, was the gazelle. And the gazelle feels like beautiful energy for June, for this kind of turning point month. And the gazelle, as I share what the energy represents, connect to how these themes focus on something specific in your life. So really trust how the gazelle is inspiring where you should focus your energy. So gazelle represents the energy of a leap of faith, optimism, rising above adversity, grace, momentum, endurance, awakened consciousness, intuitive development, leaving the past behind, achievement, love, encouragement, and freedom. Gazelles are such a beautiful animal for us for June, inspiring us to take that leap of faith to trust our abilities, even in perceived challenges and adversity that feel too hard to overcome. They are extremely adaptable, adapting to all of the challenges from their very difficult environment and with all of the predators, right? So, the one thing about the gazelle, it doesn't just speed away because it's very fast, but it doesn't just speed away or outrun its predators like the cheetah. They actually outsmart them too. They run in a zigzag or like a serpentine design, and the cheetah can't keep up with it. It can't keep up with its twists and turns. The gazelle also knows their energy, meaning they're one of the mammals that shake and twitch their bodies to finish the stress cycle after being in fear and running from a predator. It knows how to release and move through that very, very active energy, which is another connection to the insight at the beginning of the meditation, which was move your body. Pay attention to the activity and the electricity of your energy. And when it is very active and you're feeling it in a new way, dance, move. That's what the gazelle can really remind us to do. But gazelles not only leap for safety, they also leap for joy, inspiring us to stay in the present and stay open. They have beautiful horns that can inspire our connection, the divine connection, our intuitive connection, the development, opening up our consciousness, but also knowing how to stay in the present. And how do we stay in the present? We need to leave the grip of the past behind us, to have the courage and to encourage ourselves to keep going and know that any challenges that come our way in June will bring something incredible on the other side. Don't fear this tower moment because it's going to bring something incredible. And then we also had the gazelle in January, the week of January 12th, just this past. So this might be significant to connect to maybe what leap of faith you're being asked to take in June, what momentum you need to be following and trusting, and any of those themes from early January that connect to what you are going through now. Where do you need a dose of optimism, and where is your past still clouding your future? How is the gazelle inspiring you already for what you need to do and focus on and release in June? And now let's get into some writing prompts. You can use these as journal prompts or just answer in a voice note to yourself, but use these to dive deeper into what you need to know about the month ahead. So, the first question: what sudden change are you most afraid of happening, and how could this be a gift? And number two: if there was nothing in your way, where would your leap of faith take you? And number three: what feels hard in your life and you wish it would shift into a flow? And number four: how have you been rising above adversity since January? And number four: how have you been rising above adversity since January? And what have you learned about yourself since then and about your path? And a bonus, number five: how can you commit to leaving the past behind and moving forward? What do you need to do? And that brings us to the end of this episode of Intuitive Seek, all about the energy of June 2026. I would love to hear how you're resonating with what came through. If you have any thoughts or questions, anything to share, do not hesitate to send me a message. Go to the show notes. All the links are there to connect with me. And hugely appreciated if you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel called to give some support, then you could share this episode with a friend or you could leave a review. That would be super helpful as well. So, thank you so much again. Be extra kind to yourself and others. And I will talk to you next week.